All right, it's 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Daytime. Louis, do you want to kick it off and tell us where you are and what we're talking about today?
Well, hello everybody. Unfortunately I can't be on video because I'm at a resort down in Cabo San Lucas that has very poor internet, so I'm calling in today. But I wanted to say hello to everybody. It's a splendid day down here, about 82 degrees with no wind, so you can't complain. But after all we've gone through this year, my wife needed a break in the action from dealing with debris removal and trying to figure out how we're going to rebuild and all that. But we're well on our way on that front. We've got an architect, we've got a builder, we've got a landscape person, we've got a preeminent kitchen and bath designer, that being Maria Stapperfenny, is going to help us do our kitchen. And yeah, so we're getting there, but again, it's just been a bit stressful for all of us, and so this is a nice reprieve for us for a while.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to welcome everybody. Chris Kikuchi is on as me, all the way from Japan. And I don't know if you guys want to unmute yourselves since we're a smaller group and just introduce yourselves or put your name in the chat. Ebony already wrote, hey, that's me. So that is her in the center of the screen in the white shirt, if anybody doesn't know Ebony. And anybody else want to say hi? Linda Pollock from New Jersey, hello. And if you guys just want to put who you are and where you're from in the chat, that's fine to share that way too. So let's get started on our Kitchen and Bath Industry Showcase and the International Builder Show recap from 2022. We've made it through COVID. We got together again and it was wonderful. It exceeded all expectations. I'm pretty sure most of you know the rules of the forum, but here they are for anybody who hasn't familiarized themselves with them. And this is a no holds bar forum. It is very confidential. Other than that, it's going to be videotaped and you guys can share it after the presentation. So we're going to try doing these on the second of Wednesday of each month at 4 p.m. Again, add into the chat box if there are other dates and times that suit you, and they will be recorded. Community forums are open to everybody. So if you're trying to introduce somebody to the Living in Place Institute, please go ahead and invite them to next month's community forum. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be having the marketing forum, which you can sign up as a CLIP graduate. And if you're not a CLIP graduate yet, please join us, do the 16 hours, which you've got plenty of time between now and then. And we're going to do the hats. And you're welcome to then attend the forums, which will be on the 4th Wednesday of each month. Unless, again, you guys decide that there's other times that suit you more, because I do realize that we're not only coming from all across North America, but all across the world. So just want to give a shout out and mention Linda Kafka's event, which will be next week. And she is giving us a generous 50% discount for all of the CLIP certified graduates. So you can go ahead and follow the discounted link or email me at danny@livinginplace.institute and I will send it to you, or I will put it in the chat at the end of the presentation as well. All right, so today we're going to go through and ask, has anybody other than Ebony, who we saw in the picture, has anybody else attended the Kitchen and Bath Industry Showcase or the International Builder Show? I know at least one person that can chime in there. Chris, do you have audio? Working on it? It's not working, but we met Chris back in 2020 at the Vegas Kitchen and Bath Industry Show where he did his CLIP designation. Anybody else have any experience with the trade show at any time? Serena, was that I was or I wasn't? There's either one letter too many or one too few. I can't hear you either. First time for Gilda, and it was great. Gilda, do you want to tell us what was great about it? Any takeaways? I know for me, it was getting to hang out with Ebony and the other 8 representatives that are CLIP certified that are in the NKBA leadership. That was absolutely fantastic to see such a large representation over 70 chapters nationally. So we're going to now go in. Anybody going to CEDIA? Zoom on the phone. I know it's nothing without its challenges. And Lorraine has been to 3 in the past, but has not been one since COVID. Really missed not going. Again, it was so wonderful. It was true homecoming. And the virtual has been great too, Serena. Thank you for sharing that. And Mary, I'm sorry. I hope that things are going better with your family. That's it's always stressful when something like that happens. So we had a lot of really special things happen. I'm going to share with you now Bill's introduction of Louis.
The CLIP organization, one of the owners lost their house. And so like we get this link, it was CNN, like, whoa, CNN, where his wife getting interviewed because they had like, don't quote me on this, 10 minutes to evacuate their family, their dog, and they got in their car and left, and their house was burned to the complete ground, nothing left. So they were asking his wife on the CNN interview, wait,
Oh.
take nothing. I mean, think about your own house and your environment and like a tragedy happening for you, and you can a photo, anything you can't think. You just get the dog, you get the kids, and get out. And the fact that he came here to support the industry, Louis, I'm so thankful for that. Mind-blowing to me seeing all these customers. I mean, I know we want all the people, everybody to show up. We want all the exhibitors to be happy seeing all their customers. The strength of buying is stronger. People that are showing up in the booths are people that want to buy stuff. They want to specify things. It's just so cool. So I'm going to go over here now.
So that was pretty special. And the state of the industry really highlighted that building, construction, housing starts, everything is going up. Even with supply chain issues, there are numbers that are going through the roof, and people are just having a hard time getting tradespeople, craftsmen, delivery drivers. Storage is an issue, you name it. It's booming in the kitchen and bath industry and then the residential construction industry. And Evangeline has also been to KBIS. So that's great. So about half of you have been to KBIS. That's wonderful. So one of the great things that has happened in the Kitchen and Bath Association forums is that the voices of the industry has been so well represented by CLIP certified graduates. And until March 31st, these were available to purchase. And until June 30th, they were all online. So there were over 70 CE hours made available. And as you can see from this list, there is a varied amount of topics and so many different amazing presenters that are CLIP certified that presented on all things that make your life much easier, your clients' lives easier. And it goes through smart technology and clean air, wellness, health, safety, and the history of this wonderful industry and all the great innovations to come. And here's the second page of the hybrid format. LaDonna and Linda were not able to present in person, but they were able to also have some online on-demand pre-recorded ones. And as was mentioned in the chat, it's really awesome presentations. So for anybody who has a chance to check those out, I highly recommend it. You've got about another 2.5 months left. So what did we see? Tons of innovation. It was absolutely incredible. Mila knocked it out of the park. Signature Kitchen Suites, Monogram, Beko, Revashelf, RSD, 3D were just some of the innovators that we spent extra time with. But there were so many amazing things. And you'll see from the pictures that there's a bit of a trend going back to the naturalistic style. The gray and white and black and steel is still very in and hot, but you're seeing also a lot more natural materials. Wood is back with a vengeance. Lighter woods are back. Contrasting colors are really in. Pops of colors are in. And it really was quite a feast for the eyes. So Mila had a telescoping downdraft range hood, which was really cool. And as you can see with their sleek designs and their contrasting colors, they actually have some touchless products available now. And they have an amazing induction range series as well as cooktop series. And, you know, just technology that is connected to your telephone that will help you become a smarter chef. And what I like about the living in place features in some of these designs is not only armchairs that are more stable, but also the high contrasting colors and then the open shelving, which makes it much more user friendly for people of all ages and abilities, as well as having the different heights of products. And, you know, the non-glare surfaces are also really interesting. And Signature Kitchen Suites, I think that Louis put an order in for this range. This one does it all. It has the sous vide feature, and then it has the gas and induction cooking, as well as a speed steam oven and a regular oven as well. So this one really goes the extra mile. And as you can see in the large entertainer's kitchen, having the refrigeration columns, cabinets with lighting in them so that you can easily see what's inside of them, lots of drawers, countertops of varying heights. Again, the glare resistant flooring, high contrast are just some of the features that we were able to see at the show. I just want to give a shout out for Kathleen Burbank, who just joined us. She was tirelessly in the booth with LaDonna Erickson and Mike Erickson and Louis and I. And we had quite a wonderful group of people that came through. We did oversized Jenga, and for some reason, the Jenga pieces kept walking out the door. They were festooned with the living in place principles. And another popular item that walked out of the booth were the low vision glasses, all the 3 different kinds of glasses. And the ones with the leopard spots were the ones that just for some reason people wanted to take home as a souvenir. So we'll definitely have to brand those next year and have them as giveaways. Monogram's display was absolutely fantastic as well. And as you can see here, back to more natural materials and lighter colors, the higher contrast floor, the multi color cabinets. Then you've got brand new GE side swinging full size wall oven, which isn't shown here. They're showing their cafe French door oven, but also drawer refrigeration, drawer dishwashers were all really great features. And as you can see on that range, the controls actually face the user, so it's much easier to use. And of course, the living in place principle is to always have the controls at the front. Also having the pot filler is something that's much more easy to use for movement, and also having all this amazing ample glare-free counter space. And then also keeping in mind all the drawer pulls as well to make those easier to use. Beko had an innovation, not only in their refrigeration, which they use light to keep their fruits and vegetables fresh longer to sort of mimic the circadian rhythm. But also they have this really cool new dishwasher, which will also spray each of the corners. So the picture in the middle shows the difference in the spray pattern of the Beko arms versus the traditional spinning arms. But they were quite hospitable in the Beko booth as well, and tons of options in induction. So you really have opportunities now to specify different vendors for your induction cooking as well as the ventilation. Here's just a little bit of fun at Reva Shelf with Sherry McPeak and all the cool gadgets that they have there, again, to increase the counter space and to manage the food handling, all that great stuff. And, you know, LED lighting was featured prominently, as well as, again, all of the wonderful drawer pulls and automation of the cabinetry and all the inserts that you can do to really make sure that everything is in its place and that there's a place for everything. And this product here is fantastic. It's RSD 3D, and this is a new weather resistant methodology of construction, where it is a styrofoam with concrete around it, as well as the mesh, which will allow, you know, they set a Richter scale. They stopped the testing at 11 because the equipment couldn't handle going any higher than that. They also explained to us, Ken, the owner there that's on the left-hand side, he was explaining to us that one of the buildings actually had the ground underneath it wash out and the building was cantilevered, but it did not break. So they were able to backfill it again and make it secure. So especially in a tragedy like the Marshall Fire that Louis has suffered, this is definitely a weather-resistant construction methodology, which was perfected in Denmark and is now manufactured in Mexico. And it's not only for the southern climates, but any climate would benefit from this type of construction. And as you can see from the manpower in the middle picture on the lower level, the panels come shipped from the factory like that, and then a small crew can sort of plunk it into place on some rebars that are into the concrete pad. So really lovely. They can do multi-families and hotels and resorts, as well as single family residential. And he showed on the right-hand picture there a really cool idea for solving homelessness. He actually said that what they would do is take back the pods after the nonprofit was through with them, if they ever wanted to change it, because this doesn't decompose. So you're not going to have any kind of vermin or rot with the concrete. So he basically would lease it to the nonprofits. And then after they were completed with the project, maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, and they wanted to use the site for something else, he could just pick up all those pods and reuse them. So that was a pretty innovative idea there. So Living in Place Foundation, who here by a show of hands, you can use the little button, has heard of our new initiative, the Living in Place Foundation, with the tagline, Transforming Lives? A couple of you? All right, great. So basically, I want to just give a huge thank you for everybody that has donated so far. The generosity has been overwhelming, and there's just such a need for, in the new construction, the reconstruction of these properties. So many people will need to have living in place principles implemented in their homes so that they don't have to get relocated again, or that their home can be safer and that they can save money in the long run by building it right in the first time. So Louis' home will actually be featured by Chelsea Butler, who's going to be writing about it in the Kitchen and Bath Business Magazine. So anybody who doesn't have a subscription to it, you can get it in print or online. They have a great weekly newsletter as well. Go on their website and you'll be able to subscribe to that and follow the progress of Louis' home reconstruction. And we're also really excited with the Living in Place Foundation to allow others who you feel are worthy of getting the CLIP certification to be underwritten by the donation, so that they can then pay it forward by doing a cause marketing project, maybe for their favorite charity, or if they've already been engaged in that in the past. So definitely something to take a look at. That's at livinginplacefoundation.org. And also, please follow us on all of the social media. We have the Institute, the foundation, and we'll be having a consumer-facing website soon as well. And thank you, Mary. We'll go through it more. It's just been so exciting to see how the foundation is tying into the Institute, in that any of you that are already involved with special causes or have done cause marketing efforts, we're going to be partnering with them, and we want to really hear from you and hear, what's special to you. What do you think is making the biggest impact, and zone in and focus in on that, and then just grow from there. So here's the fundraising effort so far. We're close to 1%, but we have to start somewhere. And again, the outpouring of the generosity has just been remarkable. And we have also a letter writing campaign. So if anybody's interested to have a template for their local politicians, their municipalities, their counties, we have a letter that we wrote that cites all the laws that support living in place initiatives. And then our biggest announcement, we were talking and running around and looking at different vendors, especially the ones that are aligned with our vision and mission of making all homes safe, healthy, accessible, and comfortable, is our Forever Living in Place certified home. So definitely join us for the marketing forum in 2 weeks to really learn more about the first Forever Living in Place certified home and cause marketing, and how that can benefit your businesses as well. So this is building communities. And based on the HACCP, we're going to have anything from a visitable home all the way through a platinum home, where the person who the home was built for, there's so many features and benefits in that home, and for others that come through the home, that it would be a platinum certification. So we'll go from platinum to gold to bronze to silver and to bronze. But we want all of them to be at the gold and platinum level. So I'm sure there'll be lots of friendly competition to make sure that they're all at that higher standard. And here's the date for that forum. Oops, sorry. I'm going to take it back to the first one. So we can show everybody's sweet smiling face and all the good time that we've had. So does anybody have any questions about what was seen at KBIS, or any input of like what you would like to see in future community forums and marketing forums? Are there any like business building strategies or challenges that anybody's facing right now? Feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or type it into the chat. Got a quiet group today, huh? All right, in the chat. Were the Miele ovens a matte black finish? Yes, they also had a matte black, and they had a silver as well. It was kind of like a graphite sort of glass silvery finish, but it was absolutely awesome. It was nice because it didn't seem like it was overly busy, but everything was very well populated. The Toto booth was kind of the craziest one. Louis might want to weigh into this. We were actually talking to a Zoom screen, and it was their national sales manager was the lone person in the 100 by 60 foot booth. So that was quite remarkable. And then as you approach the screen, you could see the people on Zoom, and they were there from 9 to 5 while the show was open. And they had
the person that was staffing the booth is Bill Strang, who is their executive VP for American operations. Nice guy. That met him a number of times. And then they had, again, a bunch of other people there, including Mike Harrigan, the regional sales director for Toto, who's out of the Chicago area. And I've known Michael for about 6+ years. Toto, the other reason their booth was really quite unusual. It was just more the sitting areas along with these kiosks that they had there. And the reason why they didn't staff it was because they're fully sold out of almost everything that they would sell at KBIS. I mean, they're on back order. Many of you may already know this in regards to the washlets and the NeoRest. They're on back orders on those because supply chain issues. So they just chose to. They had, how I put it was they had a booth the size of 3 tennis courts side by side, and just had chairs and tables, and that was it, other than these kiosks. So it was an interesting setup.
Yeah, and it was pretty central to the West Hall, which was quite awesome too. And then Louis, tell everybody about our interaction with Seth from Kohler.
Oh, well, it was I can't remember his name. I have a business card back in Colorado. Or yeah. What was that?
It's Seth. It was Seth.
Oh yeah, Seth. And Seth was picking our brains as to what they should be doing for better marketing of their products and positioning, things of that sort. We had a wonderful discussion with him, and then that kind of followed on with a continuing discussion with, and again, sorry, I can't remember the woman's name.
Margie.
At Kohler. Margie, yes, thank you. Thank you for keeping me up to date. And we're having some continued discussions with them about them joining our activities, because they really think that what we have is really quite different and unique and beneficial for not only companies but also designers.
Yes, so RD Martin said, good to know about RSD 3D. Does anyone know anything about the Black Buffalo people in the IBIS section that built a 3D printed structure on site? I heard the buzz about that, but I did not know more information about it. I did not get to go see it live. Anybody else heard of the 3D printed houses?
I mean, I have. There's one type of technology where they use more or less concrete rope, if you will. They extrude concrete in kind of a rope fashion over and over and over again with an arm that rotates through. It can only handle so many square footage right now, but undoubtedly they're changing that. But it's something that can go up very quick and has pretty good durability with it. May not be for everybody, but again, for low income sort of housing, it's a great way to be able to put up a home in short order.
There's a company here in Austin that started that a few years ago, and they've done some for the homeless community, and they've just recently, I think it was featured at South by Southwest, did a residential home, quite nice, that they're marketing. I haven't had a chance to go see it yet, but using that technology of the rope.
Oh, great. Yeah, Gilda said that she did see it and verified what Louis said about the limited size, and then the exterior walls or drywall interior is your option. And Evangeline is saying that Habitat for Humanity has built with the RSD 3D technology. That's really great. Were you able to see that live, Evangeline? But what do you all think about the alternative construction? Are we for it? Are we sort of lukewarm on it?
Well, I can tell you from my standpoint, where we live, we can go through another grassland wildfire. And so we are looking seriously at using fire hardened sort of design activities in our house. First off, we're not going to have a wooden fence that goes from our house out, because many houses had that, ended up burning down, even ones that were made of stucco, which is usually a pretty fire resistant sort of structure. But most everybody in Colorado has, cedar fencing. And obviously over time, in a very dry, arid sort of climate that we have in the summertime, our fence was 30 years old, and I'm sure it was as dry as kindling. And just took off, and if it got on fire, it would just go straight to the house and then take the house up. So we're going to be doing something different also with our fencing of using hardy board going away from our house to the rest of the fencing, because that stuff is made with a cementatious sort of material. And then instead of having wood slats going horizontal 2x4s, if you will, those will be metal as well. So the hardy board is actually screwed in place using machine screws and nuts. And then the posts would be metal posts. Because again, I don't want to go through this again. It's just too much. And if I can, while I'm on this call, many of you I may have talked with you. I get to get on my soapbox on this because I think it's so very important. First off, make certain that you are really up to date with what you need to have your house insured to. In Colorado, kind of the bottom tier of construction right now is $320 a square foot above grade construction, and then we do have basements in Colorado, and they typically come in around $100 a square foot. So talk with your insurance agent to make certain that you're adequately covered. And then on top of that, make certain that if you do indeed have some sort of event like what I had, that you have appropriate amount of money to be able to deal with debris removal. For example, at our house, the debris removal is about $36,000. That includes removing the foundation because that got ultra torched, and all of the material, ashes and everything else, along with I-beams and you name it, from inside and outside of our home. So make certain you have enough on that, and then also make certain you have enough on additional living expenses. We're have kind of the benefit that because we were listed as not only a state but also a national disaster area, our additional living expenses. This means living in a hotel or living in a separate house. We're covered for 24 months. If it wasn't designated that, it would be only 12 months. And so imagine what you'd end up having to do. If you had a very small amount for that, you may be in a hard position there. I know a lot of people who are underinsured, both from the overall cost of reconstruction along with the debris removal, but others had absolutely minimal additional living expenses. So there's that. And the last thing I'll add on to it, two things. One is if you have a fireproof safe, it isn't proof. It will not withstand a hot fire. Ours blew open and all our stuff inside it obviously burnt. I know other people who had one that was still standing, but the contents inside it incinerated. I also know other people who had rifles that the rifles turned into Bugs Bunny rifles. They got curved. The other thing I highly recommend doing is to take a narrated video of your home and just go room by room, level by level, drawer, cabinet, closet door, whatever. Videotape everything you have in your home. I did that. I know a lot of people look at me kind of in a cross-eyed sort of fashion. Is you're doing this as the fire is coming to your home? Yes, I did that as the fire was coming to our home. It ended up being our saving grace because we just gave it to our insurance company and they said, yep, we're just going to give you the maximum that's allowed to you. I know a lot of other people who are spending countless hours and mind-numbing process of documenting, itemizing all of their possessions. How many towels did you have? When did you buy them? How big were they? How many sets of silverware did you have? Same sort of thing. Just imagine the challenge of trying to recollect what you had in your home. It's a lot easier to be able to have that videotape. If they do make you do the itemization, obviously you can go through it, looking at everything. Or if you're lucky like we were, they say, forget it, you don't need to do anything. And I narrate that. And the reason being is that it's easier to say, this is a 55-inch television screen, so if they're going to watch it, they understand what you have here and what you have there. And then make certain you either save it on in the cloud or give it to a friend who doesn't live near you, or put in a safe deposit box at your bank. So that's me getting in my soapbox. I'd rather never see anybody have a calamity like we're going through. The process we have to go through is just unbelievable. But nonetheless, we're getting through it. our new home will be our oyster.
Well, it's not falling on deaf ears. You blew up the chat box. So Kathleen wants to know who your insurer is.
It is Allstate Insurance.
Okay. And then everybody else is saying great advice. Bonnie said that she just updated her insurance, and Evangeline says, thank you for sharing all this very important information. RD, yes, as far as the 3D printed homes and the RSD 3D homes, they are also hurricane resistant. Not sure if you heard that the RSD 3D went up to 11 on the Richter scale, and they were not able to test any higher than that because the machines wouldn't allow it. And also said thank you for the advice. And also the home values is echoed by both Bonnie and by Patricia. It is amazing. And I know Kathleen Burbank and I in Rochester are just seeing, crazy bids. And I know all over the country, it's the same thing, up to 50% more than the list price for homes. And Louis' stats in his area for the 1,084 homes that were lost, he said that 80% of the people are underinsured.
Yeah, and that's absolutely the case. The other thing I'll add to that is talk with your insurance agent like at the end of every year to basically say, okay, like this year, it's anticipated to be, say, a 10% inflation rate in regards to construction. Well, if it's $320 this year, it'll be $352 next year, and then add on the anticipated increase in cost to rebuild the following year. You don't want to find out. I know too many people. The lawyer that I have been using, she had an insurance company that I had never heard of. And if you recall, I mentioned we had $36,000 for debris removal. They had a similarly sized house. Their insurance company only offered them $11,000 for debris removal. And I didn't want to even go any further than that with them because I felt so bad for her because she was on vacation in Las Vegas when the fire happened. She had her correspondence laptop with her, but being a lawyer, she had a billing and hourly tracking desktop or laptop at her home. Yes, it was backed up, but it was backed up on an external drive, and both of those went up in flames. She can't bill anybody because ethically she does not know how many hours that she spent on their behalf. So I don't know. I haven't talked with her in a while, but nonetheless, it's been a real challenge for her. And again, I know I can keep going on in regards to other people that I know that have not necessarily the same sort of dire circumstances she has, but people who are significantly underinsured.
Well, and Mary mentioned, how does anything get built in 18 to 24 months? I know that you have a very special date that you're trying to hit, Louis. And what steps are you taking to ensure that that timeline is met? And Linda in New Jersey is also saying that building anything in New Jersey is ridiculous. And another point, when we either remodel or help somebody with a remodeling or get their team together, I know that building permits is a huge thing, and something very unique happened in your area, Louis, too, if you want to touch on that.
Well, there's been, the city of Louisville, where I live, they enacted a code update last year that included, part of it was adopting the International Residential Code part that had sprinkler systems for new construction. And then they also adopted the International Energy Conservation Code, which includes basically going to the 2021 version of that includes having net zero energy consumption, meaning you're getting energy from solar or wind or possibly using heat pumps or geothermal heat pumps. And all of a sudden, people were not insured for those code upgrades. We are, but they didn't have that code upgrade. And so the city basically dropped having sprinkler systems, which from me being a safety oriented person, I was a little distressed about that because if it can save one life, how do you put a price on that? but they relaxed the code, allowed people to go down to the 2018 version, which of the International Energy Conservation Code, which is definitely a less stringent code. And yeah, so but they're doing in Louisville is they're hiring people from other cities that are retired because they need the additional manpower, labor, and the same goes for the town of Superior, who also is affected, in the unincorporated Boulder County homes. So that's helping matters. Now, you were alluding to something about a very special date. Our daughter, Elise, got engaged the day before the wedding, the fire. And we had a big blowout party that night, complete with 8 bottles of champagne and the like. It was a great way to say goodbye to the house. We didn't know it at the time. And her wedding is now scheduled to be the 16th of September next year. So we're hustling to try to get our house done before that. And we have a builder that's helping us get there. We also have, we have a wonderful architect who's helping us basically push through the architectural drawings and then get through structural engineering. And where we live, we have to do soil analysis because not that we've ever had that problem in the past, but there's a lot of expansive soils in Colorado, which can cause real problems if you don't design for that circumstance. Because expansive soils, I know people who've had their slabs in their basement heave, and likewise in the garage or in driveways. Not much you can do in garages and driveways, but you can definitely do something in the basement to be able to make certain that doesn't cause real problems.
Yeah, that's great. And Mary also is saying that it's an interesting thought and conversation to have with the clients, is asking who they're insured by and making sure that their insurance is up to date. Has anybody here on the Zoom today had any experience with remodeling that has been funded by the Medicaid C3 waivers? Has anybody had experience with that or thought about it? Gilda and Bonnie are saying no. Is that something that you might be interested in getting more information on? I think what we've heard is that a lot of people get kind of scooped up by the walk-in bathtub people, which is $14,000 typically, and that's how much the waiver amount is on average. So, that's not something that we consider a living in place item. And if you think about all the grab bars and the personal hygiene seats and widening doorways, occupancy sensors, lever handled touchless faucets and things like that we could be putting into homes for that 14 grand, it would go a long, long way. And other ideas is even, the paint, or thinking about, air handling, especially with COVID. I know a lot of people are interested in more energy efficiency because they've been spending a lot more time at home, and maybe they've noticed that window is more drafty than it needs to be, and that it might be nice to have a patio door there instead, so that if there was an emergency, there would be multiple means of egress in their homes. So yeah, that's great. So we'll get somebody on to discuss that. Are there any other topics? Well, we still have a few more minutes left that people want to address, because we're really excited about the new year. We're excited about all the wonderful technology that's out there. We really feel for Louis that he's got a redo, but we're just so in awe of the great attitude that he has about being able to build his home as the second Forever Living in Place certified home out there. And we hope that many of you also will put forth your projects and your own personal homes as well. Because I think the more that we tell the public that we're actually living this lifestyle, and that it's not harming us, and it doesn't make our homes look institutionalized, and it has saved time, money, and energy, and mitigated slips and falls, and generally helped our overall wellness, that having that dialogue and narrative with people that, just like the hair club for men, I'm not just the owner, but I'm also a client. And air purification systems for your furnace, brought up by Lorraine. and more education on products. That's awesome. Well, that brings us to our master classes that we're going to be having. What
Actually,
product?
Danny, before you move on, one of the things I also want to tell designers, after your clients have you've done a remodel project for them or whatever, is to then tell them also to talk to their real estate agent, because they've improved the value of their home. And I know a lot of people who did not talk with their agent about, we just redid a kitchen remodel, and they're not covered for that. So again, it not only falls upon you personally, but also benefits your clients by you telling them, look, we just did a wonderful project for you. Talk with your agent, make certain that you've increased your insurance policy based upon current reconstruction costs. Again, they will probably thank you handsomely, because again, I know probably about 4 people in my neighborhood that were just on the verge of finishing major remodeling, including a whole home remodel, and they did not talk with their agent ahead of time. And so it's like, there went all that money up in smoke. Sorry about the pun.
Oh, it's just so tragic. Well, and Bonnie's saying that her elderly parents had a toilet overflow and they could not get to the shut-off valve behind the toilet. Does anybody have any solutions? Yes, you can do a whole home shut-off valve. Funny enough, our second floor primary bathroom, which not only had a 0 clearance shower fail, due to improper preparation by the A-list tile setter, my husband's $2,000 faucet that I got a handsome personal use discount on was dripping hot water all night through the floor into the playroom on 6 sheets of paper on my 10-year-old CAD computer, which I need to have, sort of bored a hole through it, went flowing over the table and all the way through this 20-foot by 16-foot living room towards my primary bathroom on the main floor. And in some places, there was as much of an inch of water on the LVT flooring. So we feel like maybe the LVT held enough and that we were able to sop the water up, but we were definitely monitoring it for mold and moisture. And that's how quickly, within 6 hours, your entire remodeling project can not only go up in smoke, it can also get very waterlogged and cause a health issue as well. So as far as like the toilet shut off, I would make sure that there's sort of a lever style wall mounted shut off, similar to what you would have for a washer and dryer. And those washer and dryer ones, speaking of preventative maintenance, I don't know who's gone away for extended vacations and thought, oh, I've been here for 20 years. I think it's time for me to turn off my shut off because I'll be gone for a few weeks and I don't want, anything to happen because it's winter and we want to turn the heat down to 55. Well, those can seize up as well. And I'm sure there's been many a day that somebody has tried to turn that off and inadvertently actually pulled it right off because they've deteriorated. So making sure that you sort of try all of your shut-offs. I know when our refrigerator was installed, they refused to install it with the plastic line. They said, there's no way, our boss's floors were replaced twice. We will not install one more refrigerator with a plastic line. It has to be copper. So just helping our clients and people that do work for us sort of discuss these options and opportunities, I think will make us all better specifiers and provide a great service for our clients. Evangeline wrote, wishing Louis and his family all the best. Thank you for a great presentation. Well, thank you all for joining us. Again, if there's any topics that you guys want to cover, it's Louis at livinginplace.institute, Danny at livinginplace.institute, and LaDonna at livinginplace.institute. We can be reached all the time. We're all in different time zones. We're pretty friendly. Give us a shout. And thank you all for your time and your input. And yes, the master classes, Linda. We would like to do a series of master classes, and the topics that we have sort of thought about so far are the assistive devices that people have in their homes, lifts, ramps, Hoyer lifts, those kinds of things. We're thinking of doing one on real estate, sort of a deep dive on the financing and what to look for when you're either trying to sell your home or purchase your home, or when you want to remodel for resale, what things to keep in mind that people are looking for. Smart technology is definitely going to be one of those deep dives as well. And then, as Louis has mentioned, sort of preparing your home for a natural disaster and things like that, that you can take a look at by having those allied professionals, such as the attorney that he was talking about, who lost all of her paper, like her billing. We don't want our clients to lose their medical records. So making sure that they get up to date by, storing things on the cloud. And I know a lot of the hospitals are now moving towards that system, but the age that my children are, I'm having an issue even accessing my daughter with a disabilities my chart account for her medical information. So it's just a lot of hoops to jump through. So if you get paper copies of stuff, teach people, especially the elderly or people with challenges, that scanning everything and keeping it on the cloud somewhere is definitely worth that subscription fee for the cloud service. And any other topics we're thinking about?
Danny, I want to bring up, you were talking about copper tubing.
Yes.
And I've seen that get kinked, so where it doesn't allow water to flow through.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it causes, problems that you have to replace it. Were they not willing to put in a stainless steel mesh wrapped, plastic tubing? Because that should help keep things together, minimize the sort of bend that may end up happening with a plastic tube. Would they allow that to be done? Because that's a common way to do it. Because again, I've kinked my copper tubing when, every now and then you have to clean the bottom of your refrigerator because it becomes a dust pit.
Yeah.
And the refrigerator becomes less efficient because it can't get rid of that heat that it's creating as a result of trying to keep things cool.
Yes, great point. I know. And again, it's all different installers that have their own opinions about things. And I would have thought the plastic line would have been just fine because of the type of connection that it would have, and I would have thought it would have been less risky than the copper for that very reason. And also, our basement tends to be very cold in spots as well, so I am worried, especially with a 1/8 inch line, that it could burst. So I think it's really a case by case basis to look at these things, but it's great. Thank you guys for being such staunch supporters of Living in Place, and we definitely want to hear from you. So please join us on social media. On Facebook, it's Living in Place Institute and Living in Place Foundation. On Instagram, the same. And on LinkedIn, it's Living in Place and Louis Delaware and LaDonna and I. So definitely connect and share. We're still doing the spiff for all CLIP graduates. If you sign up somebody else for their CLIP certification, you can earn a $50 stipend. You can have that either in the form of a gift card or a cash card, or if you wanted to pay it forward back into the foundation, you have the option to do that as well. So let us know if you want to sign anybody up. We're also going to be having in Ohio next month a very unique hybrid, where LaDonna is going to be presenting from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock in a plumbing showroom, Worley. She's going to be presenting the Q&A and a deep dive into anything that you want to know before taking the CLIP exam. And they're going to be doing the experiential meal together and then writing the exam together on their devices and getting their certificate in their hand that day. So if anybody's in the Columbus, Ohio area and wants to join on that, connect with us. And Mary saying a topic covering issues with clients, insurance and technical, etc. Yeah, sort of client relationship management. That's a good one. especially when people don't think that they need something. I was just called on a design consultation this week, and then I gave them the true budget. And when it came time for the second, like seeing it on paper in black and white, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna like chip away, and I'm like, well, it's not going to change the ultimate number of what you're going to spend for what all the wonderful things that you want to do. But it's good to have a good, honest assessment, and also know if that value is going to be realized back in your home. If you're going to be staying in your home for 5 or more years, consider it like a trip to Hawaii, and you also have to do all that deferred maintenance. So you might as well do it according to the living in place HACCP standards.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things, I'm in a kind of unique position. Not only my house burned down, but I also understand what should be done from a living in place standpoint. I've done seminars for some of my fellow fire victims, if you will, about what they should be doing in the process of rebuilding their home. They have the great opportunity to be able to do the right things now to prepare for living in their home an indefinite amount of time. And I did that for my neighborhood, and it was, my neighborhood, we've been in there for 20 years. There are other people who've been in there 30 plus years and plan on rebuilding and living there forever as long as they can. And they were like, oh my gosh, I need to have my architect take this program. So all good things that you guys all know about.
Yeah, and Mary said, yeah, that the client doesn't even know that they need the insurance in place beforehand. And obviously the 4 examples that you gave, wow, I couldn't imagine having to go through a remodel and then being told that you get to pay for it twice. And Linda's asking if we're going to bring back the HACCP assessment tool. Linda, I will email you the latest version of it. We have a medical version and the general version. But as far as like an online app, it's very cumbersome. There are home inspection apps that you can get. But again, it's just too cumbersome to put that much information on it. So we have a much more user-friendly HACCP now to share with everybody. So we'd love your continued feedback on that as well. Any changes that you want to see or any additions, and we can certainly take that under advisement and just keep making it better. So with that, we're close to 5 o'clock. If anybody wants to stay and chat and unmute, feel free. I'm going to stop the recording now. And Louis, you go back to the beach and enjoy. And I know you can't see my palm tree and my surf and sand waving here. And again, Chris, thanks for staying up at all hours of the day and night. We appreciate you joining from the other side of the world, and everybody else in the other time zones. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. And we look forward to continuing to share the living in place love.
Sending you hugs and positive energy, Louie.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We get it from all over everywhere. I mean, it's ironically, we're down here in Cabo, and some of you may know